just when their love is at its peak, one of the most important events in the first volume of The Red and the Black occurs. A prominent figure arrives in the small town of Verrières. Who is it? The king himself. How does this relate to Julien and Madame de Rênal? Let's continue to see what happens next. Stendhal writes that the town's dignitaries eagerly respond, all wanting to participate in this grand event to later boast about it. You boast about your family hosting someone important. Madame de Rênal, like a girl dizzy with love, uses all her influence to get Julien a spot in the Guard of Honor, just to see her beloved in a military uniform. This act sparks speculation and anger among the nobility. They see Julien, the son of a carpenter, equating himself with noble youths, which they find unacceptable. But at this moment, Julien feels like the happiest person in the world. Julien's posture on horseback is more graceful than most young men in the mountain town. Is this because he's naturally bold? No, it's because he has greater ambition. He is more eager to change his destiny. As Julien rides through the town, he sees in the eyes of the ladies that everyone is talking about him. He becomes the center of attention, his epaulets shining brightly because they are brand new. His horse frequently raises its forelegs, proudly standing tall, making him feel very proud. What happens next impacts Julien even more. The young bishop presiding over the ceremony is only 6 or 7 years older than him. Why? Because he is a nobleman, a marquis's nephew, who became a bishop at a young age. This realization further fuels Julien's ambition. The more he experiences, the harder it is to suppress his desires. After the grand parade through town, Julien effectively enters high society. The direct result is receiving several invitations from noble families to be their guests. He attends several banquets. He is no longer just a tutor, he becomes a fashionable figure. But these glamorous days don't last long. The more you gain, the more people scrutinize you. The mayor receives an anonymous letter accusing his wife of having an affair with the tutor. The scandal breaks, causing Julien to lose his job and making his affair with Madame de Rênal a town scandal. At this point, what worries Julien? His reputation. He makes a decisive choice to abandon Madame de Rênal and escape. He leaves the town for Paris to study at the seminary. In those days, travel was slow, and the news didn't spread quickly, so he effectively cut ties with the scandal, leaving behind ruins and the other half of the scandal. His lover, Madame de Rênal. This is indeed very cruel. At this point, the first half of The Red and the Black is complete. Julien leaves the small town, marking a turning point. What awaits him in this new world? Through connections, he becomes the Marquis's secretary. In Julien's words, he finally appears on the stage of great events. While the abandoned Madame de Rênal, who loved sincerely and purely, falls into an abyss of despair and suffering. One can imagine her fate is desperate and painful, and her ordeal plants a seed of trouble for Julien's future. In Paris, Julien enters the seminary. He possesses exceptional talent and handsome looks, and the experiences at the mayor's house have refined him. He becomes an idol to some students, and a thorn in the side of others, facing exclusion. But Julien, now much more mature than the carpenter's son from the small town, hides his youthful arrogance and sharpness. He remains very low-key, even when faced with unjust grades. Does this mean he has decided to turn over a new leaf? Not really. He is waiting for an opportunity, harboring a silent ambition. Julien meticulously plans his next move and seizes a great opportunity. One day, he has the chance to meet the bishop. Julien steps forward and speaks eloquently about literature, even reciting entire poems the bishop couldn't remember. The bishop is thrilled, seeing Julien as a brilliant young man, showering him with praise and gifting him a beautifully bound set of books. Everyone hears about it and rushes to congratulate Julien. From then on, no one dares to trouble him. Was this Julien's luck? Of course not. It was the result of careful planning. He had already researched the bishop's preferences and inclinations, orchestrating this encounter. The bishop's gift, though not immensely valuable, signifies status. It's a pass. From then on, Julien has a powerful ally in the bishop. As one of the top students among the 300 at the seminary, after graduation, Julien is recommended by the principal to the Marquis de la Mole. Julien, sprinting down the path of ambition, experiences a second moment of triumph. He wins the Marquis's favor and becomes his secretary, thanks largely to his exceptional memory. Julien memorizes the details of a secret meeting, earning the Marquis's trust and respect, which significantly elevates his status. What does Julien do every day? He copies manuscripts and official documents for the Marquis, executing every task flawlessly. Gradually, he gains more favor from the Marquis, who then appoints Julien as the manager of his estates, and even entrusts him with important political documents. Eventually, the Marquis sends him to London for diplomatic missions, and Julien is awarded a Medal of Honor. Undoubtedly, each time destiny offers a hand, Julien seizes the opportunity with determination. He is exceptionally harsh on himself, to avoid exposing his rustic origins and facing ridicule. During his relentless climb, he diligently studies aristocratic accents and manners, fearing that any sign of his coarse background would lead to contempt. He meticulously mimics the gestures and speech of the nobility. This process is akin to an actor honing his craft, scrutinizing details in the mirror, watching classic films, and imitating the expressions to perfect his persona.